I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is February 17th, 2016, and in this video I'm going to be going over how to fix a slow Cygwin. My prior install of Cygwin just was getting super slow. It was taking 2+ minutes to start up, and the bash completion was really agonizingly slow. So I burned a weekend, and I spent the whole weekend trying to figure out how to make it faster and how to install it correctly. So this is honestly going to be how to properly install Cygwin in Windows so that it will run quickly. Now, if your Cygwin is running slowly, there may be a simple fix. Now, I wish I actually had captured my original version of this, but there was an issue with paths. And so currently I fixed my paths, and so actually even the old version that I had for Cygwin is running much better. Not 2 minutes, but more like 30 seconds. But let me show you how to fix that. So go down here and go into Control Panels, and then do a search for System. There we go. And then click on Edit the System Environment Variables. And if you go down here, go click on Environment Variables, and down in here, there should be a path. Now you edit that. Now, this is where things come in that could be a little tricky, because as you keep adding programs, they may start adding paths to this, and they may need that in the command prompt. This path is added to your command prompt in Cygwin, so it may be important what is there and what's not there. Now, whatever I had before, which I wish I had kept it, but I deleted it, was causing it grief. And so it was causing it to take 2.5 minutes to boot up. So this could be your problem. So before you do anything, go in here, copy it, so you have the original, and then just maybe wipe it out and try it to see if there's a difference, because you can put it back in. But it's important to go fix this, because this is if you don't fix this, even installing Cygwins correctly may cause you problems. But anyway, mine's correct. So once you get it the way you want, hit OK, and OK, and now it's updated. Now, if I've turned my Cygwin back to my old Cygwin, and it doesn't take 2.5 minutes to boot up. It actually only takes about 30 seconds to boot up, which is still kind of slow. And also the tab completion in it now is bearable. So that may fix most of you, if that's what you want. But I'm going to go into depth on how to do the whole install here in a second. So that'll be the next thing, to actually download Cygwin and start fresh. Now, before you go reinstall Cygwin, there's a couple things you should probably want to do. If you're starting fresh, you can kind of skip this part. But if you want to if you already have Cygwin installed, there's probably a few things you want to do. One, I found this website, and I'll put this in the show notes. And this guy gave a really neat example on how to grab the list of packages you currently have. Because you may care about what you already have installed, and you want to reinstall that. And the package management in Cygwin's a little bit rough, which I'm going to actually fix in this tutorial a little bit. But you probably want to bring what you have along with you. So what you can do is you can follow this guy's instructions, and he has a few simple commands. So we can actually run this sig check. And what he is doing is, let me copy and paste this. And so what this is doing is actually, he's done all the sed and stuff for you. Really, it's nice and convenient to grab all the names of the packages. And he's put it into a file called package list, so you can reference it when you install a new Cygwin. So if I go in there right now, I'll just cat it. There we go. We can see these are all the packages we've installed on our current Cygwin. So that might be really useful, because the way he does it is he makes this list, and then when you go make a new Cygwin, you can just reinstall it. Now, I didn't do that because I wanted to pick through here and see what I want to reinstall, because over time I install things I may not need. But if you don't care, just grab this list, and when you make the new Cygwin, here's how you install the new stuff. Just follow his tutorial. But for me, I went and looked through this list, and I kind of trimmed down what I wanted. But at least I can see what's installed. The next thing you need to do is go into where your Cygwin is. And so here is my Cygwin folder right there. And so what I'm going to do now is kill that. And then I don't want to delete this, but I'm just going to rename it with a dot back at the end. So I still have it, but now if I try to start Cygwin, it doesn't know where Cygwin is, and it's not going to work. So the next thing to do is actually to go download it. Now to download Cygwin, just go to cygwin.com, scroll down a little bit, and there should be a 64-bit setup. So download that unless you really want the 32-bit. And that will download the setup. And so now it's downloaded. Just click on it to start it. Click Run. And we're going to go through the default steps here. I'm not going to do anything special, not install extra packages, just go through the default. So just click Next, 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 and choose a mirror, hit Next, and let it do its thing and install the packages. Okay, that took about almost 7 minutes to get done, so not too bad, but now it's all installed. Click Finish, and we should have an icon on the desktop. So now if I click on that and open it, oh yeah, it chooses a terrible font for me for some reason. So what I'll do is I'll change the font real quick. So right click on this, choose Options, go to Text, click on Select. Everyone's fonts may be different. So I have this Lucidia Sans typewriter font, which I actually customized a little bit. So I actually have some Unicode characters in there that are non-standard that I use for my prompt. But anyway, choose the one you want. And let's see, I usually do 22, I think. Click OK, apply, and save. Looks a lot better. And now if I start it up again, I should have my font, hopefully. There we go. So Cygwin's installed. So now the next step I got to do is I need to go install a package manager. Now the setup is the package manager, but actually there's a few other things out there that you can actually use as a better package manager and kind of give you the effect of an apt-get in Ubuntu or something like that. So the next step, I'll install this, a better package manager. Okay, now on to a package manager. Now, searching around, I may be a little bit wrong about the history of all this. Looks like there was a Google code project at some point called apt-cyg, kind of like apt-get. And you can go here, and it was done in Subversion, I guess, at one point, and you can export it. It's pretty much just a simple script. Now, what's happened since then, if you go searching for apt-get, you may get pointed to this page from this transcode guy. But for the moment, and this could change, there's some weird DMCA and takedown notice. I don't know what that's all about. But the person who did the takedown is here, svpin. And he has taken the project and renamed it Sage. Or maybe it's his own project and there's code mix-up. I don't know. So now this seems to be the new apt-get. I mean, Cig, apt-cyg. Whatever. But I don't know the history of what's going on here, and it seems to be in flux. So, and also Sage is kind of a weird name. So I'm actually going to use there's someone who cloned this repository at one point. I'm going to kind of use his stuck-in-time version versus getting the new one. But you may want to look for the new one here and get this Sage one because it may have more features. I don't know. But here's what you can do. First, before you set this up, there's certain tools you need to have installed in Cygwin. And the good news is you can actually... you don't need to open the default Cygwin package manager at all. You don't even need this apt-cyg. What you can do is, and I'll do a copy here. I won't copy. So you can do your home path, which will take you to home directory. And then, well, in my case, downloads, because the Cygwin setup isn't download, so we're going to be reusing the setup. So, setup. Yeah. Not gonna be a jerk about it. Okay. Let me fix that. So let me just copy and paste. So what you need to do is you actually need to run the setup that you. It's not the cut and paste. I wanted. What you need to do is you need to go run the setup that you downloaded before. But what you can do is you can pass these parameters to it, -q, -P, and then whatever you want to install. So here, I need to install git, wget, bzip2, tar, gawk, and xz. Some of those may already be installed, but you need to install these. Now the cool thing is, if you don't have that much to install, you don't really care about an app manager or a package manager, you can just run this every time you want to install new stuff, and it will install it. So you can kind of use this on the command line in your Windows command to install what you need. So I'll just run that right now, and you can see it kicks off and it starts downloading everything. And so I'll let that download these libraries I need. I need these libraries. apt-cyg depends on them. So I'll let that run, which may take a little bit. Okay, now that we see this ending Cygwin install, we should be good. So now Cygwin's set up, we can close our DOS prompt here and just open up Cygwin again. And so now if you only need to install a few things, you don't even need an app package manager. You could have just installed things that way through the command line, through the Windows command DOS prompt. But we want to actually install the package manager because it's going to come in handy. So here's what I did. I found, now you could go to the Sage here and follow his instructions to download his version, and that may be fine. And I may actually do that in a few months here as he settles down and things look correctly. But this is another version here, apt-get, and you'll see I'll put this link in the show notes. And so I'm just going to wget and pull this down from GitHub. So I pull this, basically it's just a script down. And then I need to change mod all plus execute and apt-cyg. So now we make that script executable. And then I want to move it, since I'm going to use it again, to, let's see, user bin. So stick it in there. And then, this is where I'm just too used to Ubuntu, and I know that I'm going to type in apt-get versus apt-cyg. So I'm just going to make a link, a symlink. So let's do a quick touch to create an apt-get placeholder, and then do a symbolic link. So we'll do user bin apt-cyg to user bin apt-get. And that should do ya. And now I can install stuff. So now if I go which apt-get and which apt-cyg, they point to the same thing. So now I can go apt-cyg show, I'll give an example here, hexedit. And that should list hexedit. There we go. And there's a couple of versions there. Now if we want to install it, all I have to do is do apt-cyg install hexedit. And it should install it, and I don't have to reboot. And let's see, unpacking and installing. Looks like it's done. So now if I do which hexedit, it should be installed. It's installed. That easy. Now I have a package manager. So that is really, really cool, and it's going to be really, really helpful. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is go through and actually reinstall everything that I want to install. And also I want to add Cygports, so I'll show that here in the next section. Okay, here's the URL for Cygwinports. So you can go here and check it out. It's basically another repo you can add to your Cygwin. And it does have some more modern stuff. So right now I haven't added it. So if I go in here and I say apt-cyg show ht-track. I know that's one that's not in the base Cygwin, so I can't find it. But it is in Cygstart. So, I mean, Cygwinports. Now, the way to grab that, I got a command right here, is you can run this from within Cygwin. So you run this command called Cygstart, --, and then you go down to the setup directory, -k, and then you put in, I'll put a slash here so you can read it better. Oh. Stop. -k, and that is actually getting a key from Cygwinports that'll accept it as a, well, yeah. You just need the key from there so you can actually use it. So run that. This guy will start up, and then just run it through the typical process. So hit run, next, 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 next again. And then when you get to this point, stop. Because here you can actually add the Cygwinports. And so here's the address you need to add. And I'll put this in the show notes. It's the ftp.cygwin.org. And you can see that. Now, when you add this, there's a key thing you need to keep in mind is you can see there's a couple of spaces here at the end. You need to delete those. Make sure there's no spaces at the end, because if there are spaces, it'll screw up and it won't work correctly. So all you have to do is click on that and click add. And so now it's been added as one of your repositories you can use. And then click next. And let it run through its paces. Okay, just click next. So we're not going to install any new packages right now. And then click finish. And so that should be set up. What we have to do now is kill all your Cygwin windows and restart it. Restart Cygwin. Now, here's a gotcha. So now, I've added that repository, but if I do apt-cyg show ht-track, it should be unable to locate it. And that's because there's this weird gotcha. Now, it may be fixed in the current version of Sage. I don't know yet. But what happens is there's a little gotcha in the current one that I have. So if I go in here into etc setup.rc, you can go in here and I can go down to, let's see, I think it's almost the bottom. Go down to the bottom and right here and double check, last mirror. It uses the last mirror here. So what it will do is it's going to use the Cygwin, the regular mirror you're going to use. And so it'll respect that, and it will ignore this FTP. So that may have been fixed in the next version of Sage or something, or apt-cyg. So it'll actually use both, but right now it won't use both for some reason. So you kind of have to, you get to choose one or the other. So I can take this and, I don't know if you can comment this out. You can comment these out? I don't know if it respects comments in this or not. Probably not. Make note of what you have. In fact, let me just make a backup. Setup.rc. Just to keep that one around. Because what I'm going to do now is go to the bottom here and just wipe that guy out. So I'll just keep the FTP one. Save that. Now, if I do this, it should show up. And there we go, because now we're using the Cygwinports. However, the Cygwinports doesn't have everything, doesn't have the normal stuff. So you don't normally want to, if you're going to do this where you could flip and flop, you don't want to use Cygwinports unless you have to, unless you can't find something. So I'm actually going to go in there and back that out. Let me go reverse copy this for now, because I don't need Cygwinports for the moment. And also the new version of Sage may have fixed this. So there we go. I don't see ht-track. There we go. So now that is all set up, and you just have to be aware that if you need to flip or flop, you just have to go edit that one file and change it. Or at some point, the apt-cyg script will probably be updated to handle it correctly. Anyway, that's it for this section. The next section I'm going to go over and actually installing the packages I need. Okay, now at this point you got a couple of options. One, I did make that package list, and so I can actually copy that. It's in my other directory, so I can go copy cig drive c cygwin. There we go. Cygwin back, and then go home. Go to your home directory, and I called it. What did I call it? What did I call it? Package list. There it is. So I can just copy it here. And now you could go through that one website I showed you and show you how to read this and put all the packages in you want and use this to install your packages using apt-cyg. Now, I didn't want to do that, so I actually went through and trimmed down everything and figured out exactly what I wanted because I installed some extra stuff, and so I just did it by hand. So I'm going to time this and use apt-cyg and use install. I'm going to cut and paste all these guys that I want to install. This may or may not be your, well, it's probably not your list. It's my list. And so there's what I want to install. Autoconf, automake. You know, I'll put this in the show notes in case someone may want the same thing. I don't know. But this is what I need right now. And so just click install and let it run. And it should install all of these, which is really nice compared to the old way of doing it. apt-cyg saves a lot of time and hassle and trouble. I'll let that run. Okay, that went a little faster than I thought it would, so now I should have some of these things installed, like tree. Cool. So all that stuff is installed, and life is good. Okay, so now that you've done that, if you have a previous install, you probably want to start copying over some important stuff. So you can actually go back to your original install. So Cygwin C drive, Cygwin dot, in this case, back. Oh, and then go to your home directory, and you probably have things like your SH directory you want to copy over and different things like that. So you just quickly copy all those things over. You know, your bash profile, things like that. You know, just don't forget all those things and leave them behind. I don't know, mrc. You know, figure out what you need to bring over, and bring over all those things. Then you should be good to go. Now that we have everything installed the way we want, and all the libraries are in there, I want to see how fast everything goes. So now if I bring it up from a cold start, it should start in just a few seconds. And now if I start doing bash completion, it just works like it should, really quick, really fast. So that's pretty much the installation process. Now there is one thing I want to add to it. Well, let me go look at my notes real quick. I want to add this thing called sdkman, which helps you install SDKs. Now that's just a personal thing for the kind of work I do, but I want to go over it because there's a little gotcha on that, which will help. Which, if you don't do it right, will actually run things twice and make things slower. So I want to install that and get that set up. Okay, now on to installing sdkman, which is just a simple tool to help you install other programs like Scala, the Scala build tool, Groovy, Rails, things like that, which if you're not a developer, you probably don't care about, but if you are, you may. And here's their website, sdkman.io. So what I'm going to do here is they have a simple install process. I just open up a new command prompt and type in curl-s git.sdkman.io and pipe that out to bash. And just run that. And that should get you all set up. There we go. Now I can open a new command prompt, and I should have it. But here's the problem: is it slows things down on the when you start up Cygwin, and you can see now it's slowing things down a lot. So I can say SDK version to make sure it's installed, and it is. And then I can use it to install things. So right now I already have access to Java, just to make sure. Good. But I'm going to install Scala and the Scala build tool using this. So what I can do is I can say SDK I think you can do search, can't you? Show spt. No, not oh. SDK list spt. There we go. Right? Currently in use. That's not what I wanted. Okay, I want to list. Oh, there it is. Available 0.139. Perfect. Now I currently actually have spt installed, so if I do it, but on my main. No, not there. No, I don't. Anyway, so it's showing 0.13.9, so good. So now I can do SDK install spt. And I'll grab it. And say yes. And it also says the default because you're going to have different versions installed. So I can do SDK list Scala. And it should list more than one, I hope. Or not. SDK-h install list use current outdated. Okay, it doesn't want to show it to me. It doesn't work. Okay, so I can do SDK install Scala, and you can give a version 2.11.7. And that should download it and install it locally. I don't know the libraries it has now. I think it has Groovy, Grails, it has a few other things in there. Let it download the Scala here real quick. There we go. To install it. Okay, so now I can say which spt, and we can see it puts it in there, and there's a candidate in the .sdkman folder, and there's my spt, and I can say spt version, I believe, which may or may not have to download some libraries, some jar files, so it may take it a second. There we go. So there it is. And I could go, which Scala. Oh, well, I actually have this. I have Scala set up locally, so it's not going to. I'll go to that one first. But it actually is in there, so I can actually go into sdkman candidates Scala and current. Then, and there I am. So I can say Scala-version. It should list this one. There we go. So that's all working just fine. But the problem being, though, is now it added a couple things to my bash profile and my bash RC. So if you go to my bash profile and I go. Covered. I got some weird thing. Oh, I got a. An extra file here. Remove that. Okay. Now it's fixed. So let's go to the profile, and what it does is it adds this little command at the bottom. So every time you run this, or run your bash profile, and it runs this export sdkman, which is a little slow. And so that's what's costing you the time. But what it does actually is my bash profile calls my bash RC. And if we look at the bash RC, the SDKman is down here too. So it actually calls it and it calls it again. So what you want to do, if you really like SDKman, you can comment it out in one of them, in the bash RC file. And then you're good to go. You're not getting it called twice. So that should speed it up a little bit, but still it'll start rather slowly. But if you use SDKman a lot and the slow startup period is not too bad for you, keep it as is. At least you doubled the speed. But for me, it's still too slow. Even though the SDKman is useful, I want to fix it. Now before I completely fix it, I want to show something real quick. If you have issues with your Cygwin startup, what you can do is you can go into bash profile and do this, do set-vx as your first command. And now what that will do, I'll save that, is when you start up your prompt, once it gets to your bash profile, it'll actually start giving all the information from all your commands. And there it is. So that's actually what's going on in the background, is it sets things up. And so you can start looking through that and see what the issues are. That's kind of how I found out the sdkman was an issue, because I could see it go roll through twice. And now you can see it's actually anything I do, it does that. Now to make it go away, you can do a set dash, and it should go away. But anyway, that's an interesting thing to know, just in case you have another problem that's slowing you down. You can actually do some research. Let me go back here into the profile, and let me wipe that out. And then let me just remove the sdkman, because I like to use the sdkman to install stuff, but I don't need it every time. So once I install something, I'm kind of done with it. So now I've removed it. It shouldn't start up at all. And if I start this, it starts really quickly. Now though, if I try to find sbt, oh, I did that before. That's me doing something from before that I didn't erase. If I try to find sbt, I didn't add that path. So the sdkman didn't add that path, so I don't actually have it anymore. Even though it's there, it's not on my path. So what I need to do is I can just add it to my path. I can kind of hard code it. So I can do a quick touch user bin sbt, and then I can make a symbolic link, there's the word I'm looking for, to that file. And so I can say .sdkman candidates, right? sbt current sbt bin sbt, and that'll go to user bin sbt. So I've lost some of the coolness on the SDK tool where I can go back and forth. That's fine for what I need. And so now if I do which sbt, I need to source it, don't I? Let me start up a new window. Start up a new window. Which sbt? Oh, sbt. What did I just do? Oh, you know what? I've got a link to a link, don't I? Yeah, I think I need to do not the current, but the actual version. 139 bin sbt. Okay, I think I'll figure out what my problem is here. Okay, I think I found the problem. I just need the absolute path, right? Tried a few things, but I think I need home, the whole path. That should work, right? There we go. SBT version. Oh, it's not version. SBT version. There we go. There we go. So now if I open a new window, it should go fast. I don't have my SDK tool anymore. My SDK tool. I can go turn it on again if I want to. But I do have my SBT that I'm using. So, you know, if you find yourself, I guess if I find myself need to use the SDK tool, I can go, oops, SDK. If I need my SDK tool back, I can just uncomment and bring it back. But for now, it works for me. So now I've got everything fixed. My Cygwin is fast again. My tab completion is fast, and I actually have all the tools I want. So that took me from over a 2-minute boot up time to now just a few seconds, and from tab completion being unbearable to actually working like it should. So hope that helps someone out there. So anyway, that is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username patmandenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.